What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Getting Technical, episode 39. We got Sam back on the pod. We got Burke, second time appearance.
Merry Christmas,
Thank
everybody.
you for coming
Sam, happy Hanukkah, belated
Merry
Hanukkah.
I think we're gonna start off with MVP talk. It's kind of been the hot topic, at least online, this past week after Christian McCaffrey had 3 touchdowns again. So it's really pretty much at this point, since Dak put up that stinker, Jalen Hurts as well, it's pretty much who on the 49ers is going to be the MVP.
Kyle Shanahan.
Realistically. I mean,
people keep bringing up Lamar. Like, I just don't think his numbers are going to be good enough at the
they
end
run
of the
the ball
season.
in too much at the. It's like the Jalen Hurts selfish
Sam
thing.
Darnold came in for 3 passes, completed 2 of them for 20 yards. Like, that offense is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just not even close, man.
But like, I don't know, like they give Gus Edwards the ball too much on the goal line. Like Lamar Jackson, his numbers could have been so much better. But
His numbers could have been better if fucking Mark Andrews didn't go down.
exactly, but he doesn't put up crazy like throwing numbers.
His quarterback numbers are nothing to like write home about. I mean, he's like middle of the pack, I think, with like touchdowns. I mean, he's probably close to top 10, but it's like
Sam Howell's still leading the league in passing yards, I think.
yeah, but I mean, when you're throwing 50 times a game, like
Yeah, and half of them are coming in the last 10
garbage,
minutes.
garbage time stuff. You know,
yeah,
it's like
that's like the Zach Wilson. You saw a few of his games. He ended up close to 300 yards. It was all garbage time, just like check down.
Honestly, like that Patriots game, he threw for like 300 yards. Fucking garbage time stuff. But.
Yeah, he had 80 yards on like 3 passes against the Giants to close it out.
Yeah, like
crazy.
But I mean, like I don't understand the Brock Purdy hate. It's just
I
like
don't either.
this guy every week. They're just like, oh, he's not that good. He's leading all quarterbacks in like every statistic.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, like all he does is dump the ball off when he's leading the league in yards per attempt. He's like almost at 10 yards per attempt. So he's throwing medium to deep balls, like, and he's completing them.
Yeah, I think he's like top 5 in the NFL, maybe even leading the NFL in air yardage per throw.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, like
Yeah.
He is.
He also is like borderline top 5 for yak. That was the biggest thing against him. They're like, oh, his receivers probably have a ton of yak. He's like at the average point of all of the last like 5 quarterbacks that have won MVP. He's like right at the same average of yak that they had for their
and
seasons.
then like you're saying, like that air yardage too. Like he might go down as like a top 3 like air yardage quarterback like season, and all of the other quarterbacks that have like similar numbers, they all win MVP. So it's like, yeah, I get it. Like the offense is stacked, but you know, you're gonna tell me like the Eagles' offense isn't stacked, like the Cowboys' offense receiving core isn't as deep, but like you still have CeeDee Lamb, who's better than Debo and Ayuk. You know, Tony Pollard is a really good running back. Ferguson's a solid tight end.
Cooks is a solid too.
Yeah, I mean, Cooks is solid. The offensive line is obviously been a mainstay for Dallas for the past 5 to 7 years. So it's like.
Yeah, but it goes back to what you were saying about like every quarterback who's won MVP has a stacked offense.
Right.
Like when Mahomes won it, he had what, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
Right.
Arguably the best tight end, one of the best tight ends of all time, and one of the best receivers of all time.
Yeah.
Then you go back to who won it last year?
Hurts. No, didn't Hurts win it?
Nah, he didn't win it last year.
Nah, he didn't win it last year. Actually, that's crazy.
That's awkward. We can't
Who
name
did win?
who won it last
Was it
year.
not Jalen Hurts?
No,
It
Jalen
wasn't
Hurts didn't win
Jalen
MVP.
Hurts. Was it Mahomes again?
I think it was Mahomes.
2022 MVP.
Kind of kills the argument then. Was it Mahomes?
It was Mahomes.
Shit. Well, go back to Aaron Rodgers. He had fucking Devontae Adams. Like most of these guys, and last year, you know,
Still, you still
but
have
you still
have
had
Travis
Travis Kelce.
yeah,
like,
it's like all these guys that win MVP.
you can't have.
They have a great offense around
The
them.
MVPs don't come from bad teams. Like there's never gonna there's almost, I can't say almost never, or it never happens, but you're never gonna have a guy on a 500 or below team become MVP.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's always the argument, especially like Lamar. When he won MVP, they went to the wild card round, and I think did they lose the wild card round against the Chargers that year? I think they did.
They lost. I know they lost in like the first round.
Yeah, no, they lost in the first round to the Chargers because that was the game that Obi and Savion went to.
Okay.
That was the Lamar won the MVP, I think.
Right. It's just I can't see it being Lamar. I don't know why writing off Dak after one bad game. If he goes out and is lights out these next 3 games, it's the same thing as is a guy going to have a bad game?
Yeah.
Does that mean he's no longer the MVP? It's the same thing like Brock. They were talking about benching Brock Purdy in the middle of the season because they lost 3 games in a row. And now he's like...
Every single player on his team was injured.
Yeah, they lost Trent, CMC, Debo was out.
Yeah, people were like, oh, Brock isn't him. Brock is most certainly him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. The MVP is a quarterback award. You know, I mean, I would like to see it go to Christian McCaffrey because he's just leaps and bounds better than everybody else in football.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
the last running back who won it was AP in 2012.
Right, was that a 2,000-yard season? Or?
Yeah, he had 2,097
So
yards.
that's what it comes down to for position players. You have to be breaking records.
Yeah, but if
You
you
know?
look
he
at what
is. He had
if you
14
look at what
straight games with
McCaffrey's,
the touchdown.
yeah,
Right. That's
Or was
so
it 17?
something
It was
but
17 going into last season. He scored 14
straight this year. It's just like they were saying, like Tyreek had the chance if he got to 2,000, receiving yards.
Yeah, he'd be the first receiver to 2,000
Right.
receiving
So
yards.
yeah, once again, just breaking his own record, which is retarded. I don't know if I could say that, but
Well, he's not breaking his own record though. He doesn't have
didn't he just have 18 or 1,900 yards like last year?
Yeah, but I still think Calvin Johnson has the record.
Had more. Okay.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson has the record for most receiving yards in a single season.
Yeah. So you have to be, and still didn't win an MVP.
Yeah, I mean that was the 20.
It's just like I said, it's a quarterback award. It's who's the best QB in the league right
that
now.
was 2014, I think
The
he did that.
offensive player of the year is really the guy who, in my mind, is like the MVP. That's the guy who's like the focal point of an offense. Obviously, like every offense is run through a quarterback, but like Christian McCaffrey makes the 49ers world go round.
Yeah, but like who won Offensive Player of the Year last year? Wasn't that Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
Would we really have called him the MVP over Mahomes?
No, but I think the difference is this year is that
There's no
usually
clear
it's
cut.
just all right. Okay, it's a quarterback. Like there was never really a conversation last year where Justin Jefferson was the MVP. This year there hasn't really been a standout guy, and there's so much like negative media around Brock Purdy, kind of just being like a guy who's just a game manager.
Yeah.
And then even Brock himself last week came out and said, I think Christian McCaffrey is the MVP. Like he's I think around 1,300 rushing yards this year. I think he's averaging like 5.3 yards a carry. He's got 13 touchdowns, and then when you go to his pass,
he's just so much better at football.
And then when you go to his receiving, he's got
the obvious starting running back for the BWB Bowl.
Yeah,
100%.
he's got 509 yards receiving, and he's got 7 receiving touchdowns. So he's got a total of 1,800 yards and 2 total touchdowns.
Yeah,
20 total touchdowns.
Oh, he's better than most number 2 receivers in the NFL
20
right
total touchdowns is more touchdown than some quarterbacks have thrown this year.
And there's 3 games left.
Yeah,
Especially, but my
shout out
question
Julian, like Trevor Mid-Lawrence.
My question though is like, do you think that the 49ers try and push like the McCaffrey narrative and just like give him as much touches as possible? Because if he gets the touches, he's gonna go nuts. They're playing the Ravens this week. It should be a
you're
close
saying like
game.
just give him the ball so that you can
give him the ball even
Just
more,
force
like
feed him
force
that
feed
MVP?
him at the goal line, just like to get him that MVP season.
I mean, if they're smart, no, because I want him being healthy for playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't even matter at this point. Like you saw, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but like the first play of the game, he had like a 78-yard rush.
Yeah.
He got tackled at the 3, and they bring in the 4th stringer who comes in and just scores the goal line touchdown. Snakes a touchdown. Every DraftKings owner was just screaming at the TV.
Bro. But he ended up getting into the end zone anyway. Like he's just like,
Well, that's a given. But my point is like that just proves the point that they're not just going to force feed him the MVP.
Right.
That's
because
true.
they'd rather have him be fresh.
But
Right.
it's just so funny because like not on ESPN but on Sleeper Fantasy, like I have McCaffrey, and every time a guy gets like a big play over 20 yards, you get like a notification.
Yeah,
and it's like the Christian McCaffrey thing is just always like Christian
yeah,
McCaffrey made a big play, touchdown.
What a shock out here and get a notification on Christian McCaffrey. Like,
But I don't know. If anyone's gonna win the MVP outside of a quarterback, it should obviously be him. Like he's doing crazy stuff. He could end up with 26 touchdowns this year.
I think at if you were to end the season right now, it's Brock Purdy. I still think Dak can make the push. Even Jalen Hurts. Like if Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, I think, is more of a dark horse than
another guy.
Especially because they're struggling to make the playoffs right now.
Right, but like they're all, like the Bills are a really good team. And
100%.
Josh Allen is just secretly, not even secretly, he's just like unknowingly going off.
Yeah.
And a guy might have like 40 total touchdowns this year.
Yeah, but then it even looks at now that they've got their run game going because he threw the ball 15 times last week. Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean
Cowboys.
James
Cook
Cook.
got
James Cook can be
125
a 1,000-yard rusher. Probably going to get 50.
He had 175 total too.
Yeah, because he had that like 30-yard touchdown catch to start the game.
James Cook having a phenomenal year. I think he's second in the league in rushing or something
Took
right
all
now.
of Dalvin's talents. That's why the Jets suck.
Dude, Dalvin Cook is so
Dalvin Cook.
bad.
Bro, that's the thing I don't get about the Jets. It's just like, just let Izzy play.
Yeah, well, they let him play last week, so I mean now it's.
I don't want to ever see Dalvin Cook touch a football for the New York Jets ever again.
After he saw Rodgers go down, he immediately became uninterested in trying to play football.
You think that's what it was?
100%.
I think he just sucks, to be honest.
It's possible, but at least he would have given a little more effort. Second he gets the ball, it looks like George Pickens trying to block a DB.
He's
just not trying at all.
Dude is in slow motion out there. It's incredible.
Do we want to talk some Jets? Obviously.
Yeah, we could touch on it. I mean,
I
just hope out of all the games that we have left, obviously I want the best draft pick possible, but I don't really care. But as long as we lose to the Patriots, let the streak keep going. Don't end the streak.
How do you want to lose to that team?
Because don't end the streak on a meaningless game and give them a better opportunity at drafting a top-tier quarterback. That's it. Because could you imagine, I know you're saying, oh, USC quarterbacks, they usually suck. Caleb Williams not going to be that good. What if he fucking is that good?
He's a USC QB. He's not going to be that good.
He also has not looked very good.
All right, look, he's a USC QB, but he came from Oklahoma.
There's a reason why he came from Oklahoma.
Look, bro, I'm telling you, if he ends up becoming anything good and he's on the Patriots and we're tormented for the next 20 years.
What do you mean? We have Aaron Rodgers.
For 3 years, max.
At least 5.
At least 5.
Stop. He's playing next year and maybe one more.
There's
That did come out this week, though. He said he wants
He said he'll
wants
play
to
like
try.
3 years, max.
Yeah, no way. If that guy's playing at 43, 44 years old, oh my Lord.
But can we talk about the Jets offseason? Because what is the move for them? Because if you think about it,
Moving the team to a different state, so I don't
every
have to cheer
single
for him anymore.
player that Aaron Rodgers brought in, every single player personnel,
They're hot
everything,
garbage.
they
And
suck.
if I see one more person say, go get David Bakhtiari, who hasn't played a full season since 2019, I might lose my head. I just, enough with these, we need to draft O-linemen. We need to sign every O-lineman. That should just be the main focus. Like, you can get a receiver in the 3rd, 4th round. I don't even think our receiving core is really, like, all that terrible.
People forget, our receiver core would have been fine if Corey Davis didn't just up and retire.
Just retire from football. Like Alan Lazard drops a lot of passes, yes, but like he dropped a lot of passes for Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers still wants him to be his wide receiver. You know, Xavier Gibson can get somewhat open. Tyler Conklin is a solid tight end. Breece Hall in the passing game is really good. Aaron Rodgers makes that receiving core like just he elevates them. Obviously, that's what good quarterbacks do. They elevate their receivers, and it's just. But he first when he got injured, he was running for his life.
Yeah,
You know,
because of Dwayne Brown.
Because of Dwayne Turnstile Brown.
That's not like Mackay. I don't think there's any chance Mackay comes back unless it's on a prove it 1 year deal.
Which I think
Rodgers likes him, so he'll probably be back.
I think the only team giving him a 1 year prove it deal is the Jets.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So like I have like he's been really bad these past 2 or 3 games, but I mean besides that he's been very solid.
He's just not a left tackle. He was so much better at right tackle.
I mean, but like you also gotta look, the games he's been bad. He's getting abused by the Bradley Chubbs of the world. I didn't even realize but the one defensive end for Houston, he's got like 13 sacks. So it's not like he was like Joe Schmo like getting beat by him.
Will Anderson?
I don't even remember who
the
it
rookie.
was.
Isn't that their rookie 2nd overall pick?
Yeah,
3rd overall pick.
They had a guy that had Zach got sacked 4 times that Houston game, and Mackay led up like 2 of them.
Oh, is it Whitney Merciless? The other guy?
Merciless. Does he still play?
I couldn't tell you anybody on that Texas defensive line outside of Will Anderson.
They had a guy. He had
He would
Grenard.
be leading the league in sacks right now if he had 13.
Jonathan Grenard has 12 and a half sacks.
Yeah, I don't know who the hell that is.
Well, I mean, he's got 12 and a half sacks. He's up there in league leading in sacks. So it's not like he's not getting beat by like schlack guys. He's getting beat by guys who are like Bradley Chubb is really, really good.
Yeah.
You know?
I think what it comes down to is like in the first round last year, for some reason they drafted Will McDonald. Like they drafted a defensive player in the first round.
Well, McDonald
This year's draft,
that was a panic pick because all those offensive tackles that they wanted got like that was the
Bill
one thing you
Belichick
said.
screwed us.
Bill
yeah, he
Belichick.
traded up with
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, right?
Hey,
Yeah,
traded,
and
he
then
traded up
they
with
took
Pittsburgh.
Broderick Jones, who like was falling into our laps.
Yep.
But the thing is, this year's like it doesn't even matter what happens. Like the Jets should not draft a single defensive player.
No.
They should go offensive lineman, wide receiver, maybe a tight end. I don't know. They got to do
The worst part is
anything.
we don't have a second round.
We don't have a second round pick.
It doesn't matter whatever they have. They need to
Get-
just draft offense because at this point it's been how many?
Right,
It's been
but
like
Would you be
I
cool
think
with draft with
our
which,
entire lifetime with no talented
kid Joe
no
Alt?
talented offense.
Would you trade?
trade down and get capital? Yes.
No, not even that. Trade your 2025 first rounder for Devontae.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Devontae Adams that's a no-brainer. I would trade multiple first rounders. I would trade this year's first rounder and go get Devontae.
I don't know about this first round. This
Why
year's.
not?
Because if you're in position to get Joe Alt as your left tackle,
So they can't get Joe Alt, trade back at capital. Because I'm with you on
wouldn't be able
that.
to do both. No shot. Joe Alt
We
makes
said
a
if you can't get him.
If
Well,
we
if you
can't,
can't
if
get
we
him-
can't get Joe Alt, say Joe Alt goes, third
then I mean,
for whatever.
I mean,
I'm not, it's not for whatever reason.
Then
Guy's
there's
the
that
number one tackle.
Floshad Nwanu. Well, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. The guy at Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't get either one of those guys, then yes, trade back.
I mean,
You can't get them or Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no reason you
we
should be
ain't
picking.
getting Marvin Harrison Jr.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can't get any of those three guys, then yes, trade back.
But right now, do you think Chicago drafts Caleb Williams at 1?
I think they should.
Why? You don't
'Cause-
you don't think Justin Fields?
I think Justin Fields is good enough.
I think
I don't
Justin
think-
Fields
I
is
don't
good
think-
enough. I just don't think he has an opportunity to be good enough.
I think he's good enough. I just think that when you're in a position that the Chicago Bears are in, where you can get a clear-cut guy who is better than Justin Fields in college, is projected to be better than him in the NFL, and just like his body type, he's just a bigger quarterback to begin with. You're playing in Chicago. Justin Fields clearly likes to run a little too much for my liking.
So if you're Chicago, you draft Caleb Williams 1, trade Justin Fields, or do you keep him?
Yeah, you trade him. You
Trade
do
him
the-
for capital.
You do the same
and then
exact
you
thing-
draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You,
I
you
mean,
do
but
exactly.
who's trading for Justin Fields though? Like,
I think a lot of teams.
I
would
think
trade
I
for
think
Justin
Tampa Bay would. I think if they could move on from Baker Mayfield. And,
I don't
Why
know.
would
Baker
you
had
move-
a
why
good
would you
year,
move-
and I'm a Baker
Well,
hater.
yeah,
He's
why
had a
would
really
you move
good
on
year.
from Baker
Because-
right now?
because
He's having a better year than Jalen Hurts.
because you have to.
He is. He is.
Jalen
And
Hurts
people,
has like 12 rushing touchdowns.
bro, I'm talking about quarterback. I'm talking about being a
still a
quarterback.
better quarterback than
yeah,
Baker.
but right now, Baker Mayfield is playing really, really well.
He is. He's playing great football, but
He
he's
is, but
still
you got
not better than Jalen.
But you got to
Hurts.
pay him.
Right now, he's better than Jalen Hurts.
Well,
It's
look,
been
he's
bad
having-
the past few weeks, but
he's having
Jalen Hurts
down.
is still an elite quarterback.
Another
Right.
team that could see
Right
trade
now,
for
he
Justin
ain't elite.
Fields, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Clearly
god!
Kenny
Yes.
Pickett-
Oh, yeah.
Oh
That would
my
be a
god!
great
Honestly,
spot for Justin Fields.
even the Patriots, like if they can't get like like you're saying, a
They're
Caleb Williams.
they'll draft Drake May if they can't get Caleb. They'll take Drake May. I
What
guarantee.
about the
I-
Jets drafting Penix and just like sitting in behind Rodgers? For a
I'd
year or
actually
two?
rather trade up from the third round into the second round, if
You
he's
think
there. in the
Penix
third-
falls to the second?
No, I was gonna say Travis.
The
What's his
Tennessee
name?
kid?
Travis Jordan. No, the kid out of Florida State. Jordan Travis.
who
I
got
said
hurt?
Travis Jordan.
He's
Jordan
hurt right
Travis.
now. Yeah.
Exactly, but if Aaron Rodgers is playing for 3 years anyways, Travis has
playing for
plen-
3 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years.
Regardless,
like,
it's still plenty of time for
that's
him to
still-
recover.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
I don't see why people don't like follow this Green Bay like mentality where it's you draft a QB and let him sit for a year or two. I mean,
They've
Mahomes,
had great
Mahomes
quarterback
sat for
plays
a
since
year or two.
1996.
Yeah, I mean Brett Favre. Rodgers sat behind Favre. Jordan Love's starting to figure it out, kind of come out. He's struggling a little bit here and there, but he's starting to show that he can be a capable QB.
Yeah.
It's not always the best solution to just throw a guy into the fire.
And a big thing is he doesn't have a clear-cut number one yet, I should say. I mean, Jaden Reed's good.
Christian Watson's
Yeah,
solid.
Christian
yeah.
And he has
and their run game is like
Aaron Jones
iffy.
hasn't played in
Yeah,
a
their run
month.
game is like not that great. So if they get a couple weapons for him, I think Jordan Love can be a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
Definitely solid.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if you could get Jordan Travis or even, there's a possibility. I know he won the Heisman. Jaden Daniels, if he falls,
Yeah.
because it's just like they went 9-3, but he played outstanding football.
There's a lot of first round quarterback talent this year. I'm not as
Said the
huge.
same thing in 2019.
Right. I'm not as big into college football, so like I don't know. I kind of just go off what other people say. But if you have Penix, Nix, Jordan, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, like that's Drake May, like that's a lot of QB like that can potentially be going in the first round. Where it's just like like you're saying, maybe trade back, get some capital, and then settle on a Jaden Daniels, let him sit behind Rodgers. Like those aren't bad ideas, but that's also like if we win these next couple games, and we can't get a Marvin Harrison, a Joe Alt, or I don't know the Penn State tackle you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a weird.
That's the draft. I don't worry about Joe Douglas. I don't worry about him at all.
I mean, it's tough to say with the picks that he's had outside of the Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner year.
Bruce, yeah.
that
How can
was
you
the Bruce
argue
Hall
with
year.
that? Like Joe Tittman is starting to look like a really
So
good
Joe
pick.
Tittman, AVT, and then the 1 year with like Garrett, Sauce, and
Brees
and
Jermaine.
and Jermaine.
Jermaine
But
Johnson.
still,
Yeah, I mean, but the
awful pick. He got screwed over with Mackay. Zach is obviously no
Zach is
good.
obviously but I mean, like, look, you're not going to bat 1,000, but I mean, he's well over 300. He's a Hall of Fame hitter with.
It's not his draft that's been the issue. It's everything. It's everything else.
his signings. It's the bringing back Dwayne Brown,
Carl Lawson, rough.
Carl Lawson. Oh my God, we could have had Hendrickson, and I was sitting there. I remember having this conversation with Joe Blackhall, just being like, dude, he's like, oh, we can get Carl Lawson. He gets all this pressure on the quarterback. I'm like, the guy doesn't get sacks. I was like, I don't like that. Has always been like up until now, like the big problem with the Jets is like the pressure. I'm like, I don't care how much pressure you're getting when we're
They
letting up
get
400
so
yards per
close, and then the guy just rolls out and
yeah.
throws a 15
and then
yard pass.
and then it's just like,
story of the Jets
that was
defense.
like I was like, I don't need guys that almost get the quarterback. I need guys that get the quarterback. And we could have had Trey Hendrickson, but instead we get Carl Lawson. I'm like, what a waste of life.
Yeah, who's another pick? Like I was going over with my dad, just the amount of like awful picks post the Rex Ryan Tannenbaum era. I completely forgot that Jordan Jenkins played football. I was just going through. Remember Jordan Jenkins, the Georgia linebacker that we drafted?
No, honestly, I don't even remember. I don't
know
know
who
what
he
you're
is.
talking about.
He had like a 9-sack season one time, and then did absolutely nothing. Went to the Giants, played even worse.
He had a
Was it-
9-sack season.
I think he had like 9 sacks for it.
There's nobody worse than the Vernon Golston pick.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
The
like,
zero
yeah.
career Jet sacks.
D. Milner.
Okay, well, but D. Milner,
Guy
he
had
was-
like 3 minutes of total game time.
That was like one of the
But
worst.
he,
picks,
like
too.
that was ridiculous. It was like, bro, like dude was like coming off like his second ACL surgery in Alabama alone.
That's
and
an
then-
awful pick. Calvin Pryor, awful pick. Who drafts
I
a
remember Joe
safety
B
out
had
of
the
Louisville?
Calvin Pryor custom jersey.
Calvin Pryor, he was a top 5 pick, wasn't he? No,
No.
He sucked though. I know that. I think it was like a 23rd pick.
he was a first round pick. Calvin
Yeah,
Pryor.
he's just
Sorry,
terrible.
I'm just for a second mistaked him with Jamal, but like
Oh, Darren Lee, another one, awful
my
pick.
God.
Darren Lee.
That dude's
He was
claim to
a-
fame was he dated the Instagram model
did,
Savannah
yeah.
Oh, so that's
Montana.
what I was thinking of. Jordan Jenkins was a third rounder. Darren Lee was the first rounder that year.
Darren Lee wasn't horrendous.
No,
He
wasn't
was.
good,
He's
though.
not a first round pick. Right, I'll give you that. He's like a third. He was like a third or fourth round linebacker, but I mean, he wasn't the worst player to ever play football.
It's been bad for a while. I don't know. It's,
I mean, Joe. Like I said, I'm not worried about Joe Douglas drafting guys. I'm worried about, his signings, because his signings have been really, really bad. And I was having a conversation with a guy, and he sent me like a list. It was Tom Dubkovich, and he sent me a list of the signings. I don't even remember. Did he text it to me or what? It was just a list of freaking mile long of just horrific Jet signings in these Joe
Jermaine
Douglas
Johnson, Carl Lawson.
eras. Tremaine Johnson. Was Tremaine Johnson?
Jermaine
Nah,
Johnson.
Tremaine was brought in by McCagnon his last year.
But he was a signing.
Not by Joe
No,
Douglas.
no.
though.
No,
just
we're
saying.
just saying in general.
Oh, you're saying in
Oh,
general?
I'm talking Joe Douglas.
Yeah, he's
no,
talking Joe Douglas, strictly
I
Joe
thought you were
Douglas.
just talking about in general.
no.
No, who,
I
who
mean,
is-
everyone
who is the
Rodgers brought
safety?
in is terrible.
Who is the safety that we brought in? He used to
Oh my
play
God.
for
All right, so Tevin Coleman, Uzama, Jacob Martin, don't even know who that is. LaMarcus Joyner,
He's an outside linebacker.
Keelan Cole, Vinny Curry, Dan Feeney. Actually, I was pretty upset we let go of Dan Feeney.
The flow is immaculate.
Yeah.
He was electric at Islanders games.
Carl Lawson, Brashad Perriman, Greg Van Rotten, George Fant, Neville Hewitt, Arthur Mollett was a solid. He was a special teamer though. Pierre Desir, Mecole, Lazard, Solomon Thomas has been all right. Ty Johnson, like these names are just guys that are just they're just really bad
They're
football
just
players.
guys.
Yeah, they're just names. It's just like we gave a lot of those guys like solid money to come play football for
Tevin
the New
Coleman
York Jets.
3 years, like 30 mil.
Yeah, like
I didn't hate the Tevin Coleman signing at the time. He
but
was
like,
good in Atlanta.
But it's like Mecole Hardman getting $8 million to just like play one snap. It's just like what is going like what goes on with our team that we can't figure out how to get guys just like playing time or like how to like have them turn the corner or something.
Was Hardman just for Rodgers? Like once we had to
No,
switch
I
to
think
Zach?
I think
'cause
Hardman was
what
like
changed that
Hardman
before we got Rodgers.
they signed this guy and then they never played him.
I think that they just like figured out like Xavier Gibson is just a younger version of this guy. Let's just cut bait.
Why not have two of them? Lazard.
It's just too much for Nathaniel Hackett to brain to process.
Another thing, dude. I could blindfold if you just tell me the down and distance. I can blindfold tell you what's about to happen. 1st and 10, we're gonna hand the ball off, get 2 yards. 2nd and 8, we're gonna run a 2 tight end, 2 receiver, go routes, incomplete pass, and then on 3rd down, we're gonna run like a short curl with a button hook, and then we're gonna be 2 yards short of the 1st down, and then punt. It's just
At least we have more stuff.
Honestly,
It's
and
like,
then he's like
and then our best player comes out, Thomas Morstead, pins him deep, and then after a
defense
while,
stops him. We punt. They punt it 75 yards. We have the ball on the 7-yard line.
Maybe Gibson fumbles.
no, dude, there was.
The worst part is that then Nathaniel Hackett's idea of switching it up is instead of running on 1st down, play action, throw out of bounds, 2nd down, run for a half a yard, 3rd down, try and throw it deep, 6 yards out of bounds, bring the punt unit back on.
Yeah.
Thomas Morstead's leg is still fucking. It's
I mean,
still throbbing from
say-
the first kick.
If we didn't have him and Greg Zuerlein, this offense would just be even worse. Like points wise, we're already one of the worst offenses ever. But if we didn't have Greg Zuerlein, if we had Matt Amendola again, like for
Carlos Santos.
yeah, like if we had those kind of kickers still on our team, like we would just be probably the worst scoring offense to ever
Greg
play football.
Zuerlein fell in our lap because he just couldn't figure it out when he was like he played solid in Dallas, but he just couldn't like figure it out.
He had like a bad year with Dallas, and they were just like, "All right, we're moving on." And I'm like, "Thank you," because he
Yeah.
just like was like, "Yeah,
Finally, something good happens with the Jets, but of course, it's a fucking kicker.
Yeah.
It's not a quarterback. It's not a guy who's gonna get sacks. It's not a Pro Bowl offensive lineman.
No.
It's a kicker.
But that's
Wow.
did you guys see the thing about Dallas with Brandon Aubrey? They don't really because he kicks so many field goals during like the games on Sunday or whatever. They don't really have him kick during the week because like to keep his leg fresh. It's kind of the same thing for the Jets with Thomas
Is he a
Morstead.
soccer player?
No, but it's like the same thing. No, Morstead punts so many times that
Thomas
they gotta
Morstead-
arrest him during the week.
Thomas Morstead is not a spring chicken. This isn't his rookie year in
Yeah.
the NFL. Like this dude is up there in age,
Guy-
and he's
by the
out there
time-
punting 10 to 12 times a game.
Yeah. By the time he retires, he's gonna apply for AARP and be set. Brandon Aubrey's 24.
But I mean, and honestly, give Thomas Morstead a lifetime contract. Let that man punt for us as long, because that's another thing too. Is like people really don't understand. It's just like when you're a bad offense and you have bad special teams to go, it makes things so much worse.
Yeah.
It's like at least if you have like an okay offense and like you have a good special teams to kind of like complement like you're struggling offensively, but Thomas Morstead can start pinning teams deep.
Yeah.
That'll help you stay in games. Now,
Yeah.
granted, when you have Zach Wilson, the worst quarterback to ever play since Christian Hackenberg.
Are we going over that? Worst quarterbacks
I
for the
don't know.
Jets
All right,
Worst
so.
quarterbacks
the last decade.
Wait. Before we
we-
do that, I got the most punts in the NFL this year.
definitely
So we
Thomas
got
Morstead.
Gillen and Morstead tied. Jets and Giants kick punters
Oh
tied.
my God.
They both have 81 punts this year. Morstead's punted over 4,000 yards.
Oh
this
my
year.
God! Imagine a quarterback throwing for 4,000 yards
And then
on the
if
Jets.
you go down to like
Fitzpatrick.
Meanwhile, we have a guy out here punting for 4,000 yards. We can't get a QB to throw for
if
4,000
you
yards.
go down, for example, to like a good offense, Miami's punter Bailey has punted the ball 43 times. This
Punted
year.
half.
So we've punted twice the amount of times as the Dolphins have this year.
Honestly, I'm surprised it's not more.
I mean,
Yeah,
81 to.
I mean, we've also had a couple fakes. Like we started like going for it a little bit more. Like dude, that fake we ran last week, I think that killed the game. I think that
was one of the worst fakes I've ever
that
seen.
4th and 4 direct snap to Ashton Davis, that was game over right there. You just gave the best offense in the NFL the ball on the 40-yard line, down 7-0, and I was just like, or down, it was like down, and maybe down 10-0. I was just like, game's over.
The biggest
like
the play that embodied the entire season was the Hail Mary going into halftime against the Dolphins the first time around.
Oh my god!
Because I actually went golfing that day.
Tim
and
Boyle.
I heard it on the radio, and I'm listening to the guys on the radio, and they're like, oh my god, he might actually do it. He's at the 50, he's at the 40. There's nobody around him. He's at the. I'm like, did they just 100-yard interception return?
If you need 3 clips to just three standstills of the Jets season. Rodgers running out of the tunnel with the fucking flag. The next one is him on the ground with his helmet down, and then the third one is just the guy bringing the fucking pump back from the goal line. Those are 3 pictures to tell you the story of the Jets 20.
The Rodgers holding out the flags become like a meme too. It's like anything that like lasts 2 seconds. It's like the guy's just like me right now. It's just running out the Rodgers.
Not wrong, Chief.
Rodgers just running out with the flag.
I like going over like a list of just terrible New York Jets quarterbacks. I mean, in the early 2000s, I don't know if you guys like really remember.
Testaverde, Kellen Clemens.
Kellen
It'd be
Clemens,
harder to find any
Brooks
decent
Bollingers,
quarterbacks.
Ray Lucas. Like Kellen Clemens.
The best quarterback that the Jets have had outside of Fitzpatrick was Vinny Testaverde, and the guy was 37.
Oh, Chad. Chad was pretty good.
Chad was all right. I miss when Ray Lucas used to do like the post games, because this man would talk as if like he wasn't the worst quarterback to ever play football, and he would just crack me up because he would just be like this team stinks. He's just going like they got no quarterback play. The quarterback stinks. I'm like, bro, I don't even think you remember how to play quarterback. I was like, I watched you play. I was like, you stunk. But like Brett Favre into Geno. And then, having,
Bryce,
bits.
Hack, McElroy, just smack in
Mike,
the middle for no
Mike
reason.
Vick playing a game.
Joe
a couple
Flacco.
Of games. Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Mike White.
Who was the dude that... Remember when
Trevor
Flacco got
Siemian.
hurt when we played the Browns?
Trevor Simeon's first stint with the
Josh
Jets.
Johnson.
No, not Josh Johnson. This was a few years back. He also got
Trevor
hurt.
Simeon had a stint before this with the Jets, right?
Maybe.
Didn't he play? He was on with
It was
us?
the year with Sam
And
got hurt.
He broke his ankle,
then Flacco
right?
He
got
broke
hurt.
he broke his ankle. He played the Monday night game against the Cleveland Browns in 2019 when Baker threw a slant to fucking Odell for like 80 yards on the second drive of the game.
Weren't we at that game?
Yeah, we were at that game.
That was horrible. The worst game I ever been to Jets was we were it was like Joe's birthday. We went to see him play Buffalo.
It was,
and me, him, Robbie, and Joe walked in to get in there early. And before I guess we just missed like the first. It was
Josh
like the first
McCown
play.
versus Matt Barkley.
Yeah, Josh McCown.
And they like returned like the kick for like a touchdown. Like we didn't even get to our seats yet, and the game was over. Yeah. It was 7-0 already, and there was no coming back.
Yeah. Matt Barkley lit us up that day.
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe it. Was just like we bought those tickets and we were like, all right, like we'll get to watch Sam Darnold and Josh Allen, like 2 rookie QBs like go at it. Both of them out that game, and then Matt Barkley just tore us apart. Like, this is
We're
incredible.
definitely missing just like a random spot start.
I mean, who do you think like the worst QB in like your Jet lifetime was?
The worst quarterback that I've ever seen play.
Christian Hackenberg.
But
He never dressed though. He never played.
Yeah, he never played. Like
He was that bad. He couldn't get on the roster with
like
the Jets.
that was probably the worst, one of the worst draft picks, like a second overall on a guy that everybody was like,
Wasn't that the Mahomes
second
draft?
round? Yeah, it's 2015. Yeah, second.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But I mean I think it's Zach.
Oh no, they passed on.
You think Zach's
they
the
passed
worst?
on
I think it's
Mahomes like
Zach.
the year after that because they had Hackenberg. Right?
You think Zach's the worst quarterback?
No, I don't think so.
To play for the Jets.
You think he's worse than Bryce Petty?
No way, bro.
But Bryce Petty played a game and a half.
I mean, but do you think
Zach is not, bro. I don't think Zach's
Yes,
the
he
worst.
is. Yes, he is. Zach is.
He's definitely worse than Sam. He's obviously worse than Fitzpatrick, Darnold, Testaverde, Chad Pennington.
He's worse than Josh McCown.
Worse than McCown.
No, you
Worse.
think?
I mean, he's
Josh
not.
McCown?
I mean, maybe Geno.
No.
But like Geno turned out to be a good quarterback, but as a Jets quarterback, he was awful.
Yeah, I mean, as a Jets quarterback, I think Zach is better than Geno's Jet career.
But Zach was also the second pick.
That's the thing.
Where did we get Gino?
Gino in the second round.
Right? Just make sure this is fucking.
Yeah, so like when it comes to like for the Jets, like I really remember games was like when I first remember watching games and paying attention and understanding what was going on completely was Brett Favre's first year. So 2008, like that was like me in sixth grade, like 11 years old. Like that's when I really like paid attention.
Yeah, I do remember some of the Pennington days. You know, when we had guys like Santana Moss. I almost said Santonio Holmes. You know, Santana Moss.
Lavernius Coles.
Yeah, Lavernius Coles. The two of them just getting traded back and forth between the Redskins.
Bengals.
What?
Lavernius Coles was a Bengal.
Was he?
Yeah.
I think he went to the Redskins. And it was like we had Santana Moss. We traded him to Washington. And then we traded back for Santana Moss.
Yeah.
You know, Curtis Martin days, the Kevin Mawai, you know, staple of the offense.
But then immediately, like to have it go from like Kevin Mawai, and then immediately transition to like Brick and Mangold.
See, that's where our problem is. Just like you think, all right. So like we have Joe Tippmann, who I think can be a very solid, very good, you know, center. All right, now you have to build outward. Where it's like Lakin, I think Lakin is okay. He's
I think he's awful.
He's very hit or miss.
I think he's awful.
I think it depends who's around him. Like if he doesn't have,
I mean, he's had Tippmann next to him for the last 3 weeks,
right? But he
hasn't done anything,
right? But he's also had Mackay, who's been really bad these last few weeks. So it makes them worse. But I can't watch more Max Mitchell, Billy Turnstile.
Yeah, Billy Turner.
Bro, I was looking at
it. Sometimes it looks like Billy Turner
he
doesn't even have
look
arms.
like he's big enough to be a.
No, he does not look like he's big enough to be an offensive lineman.
He's not.
I'm just like, why? Like, how is that the decision to like run this guy out there? Or it's just like I don't. We were
talking before.
He's like 50 pounds too light.
What happened to Roger Saffold?
Yeah, we signed Roger Saffold, disappears. Fucking Schweitzer, who actually I hope he comes back next year.
He's a solid
I think he's a
spot start guy.
I think he's a solid guard, and it's just like I wouldn't be upset if he was like our right guard next year. But it's like
so what are you doing with AVT?
I tackle.
Oh, you're gonna throw him at tackle?
Absolutely.
Right or left?
I throw him right. I try and find a left tackle, and if not, then really in perfect world, it's Joe Alt playing left tackle.
What I think the best scenario for the Jets offensive line next year, you draft Joe Alt. You let Lakin play one more year as your left guard. You go Tippmann at center, Tucker at right guard, and you bring in Jonah Williams to play right tackle.
Who's Tucker?
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Oh.
I was confused by that too.
I was like, threw me off.
AVT at right guard, and then you bring in Jonah Williams as your right tackle.
Where's Jonah Williams now?
He's in Cincinnati, but I think it's his last year of his contract.
Right. Enough Jets offensive line talk. Let's
there
talk about
could
the
be.
Mendenhall Bowl.
The Mendenhall Bowl. So
That is one of the most outrageous tweets of all time.
I mean, it's pretty up there. I mean, just sit there and just say that like there's no good white athletes when Christian McCaffrey is just the best player in football.
And
two
like, not even
MVPs.
close.
And Brock Purdy's the MVP frontrunner. He's literally he's white.
I mean, we're like if you're a sports fan, you've seen the Will Compton video. He's basically made the roster for us.
Mm.
You know, I mean, outside of like I think a few outliers, like you were. I don't even hate this idea of Ashton Davis and stuff, guys like that.
Yeah, like because we're basically playing cover 4 the whole time.
Right.
Ashton Davis is a track and field athlete. He ran a 4.5 40, sub 4.5 40. Let him play corner and just don't get beat deep.
Right. I mean,
our front seven is top tier.
It's just unreal. I mean, the Bosa's, Watt, Hendrickson, Crosby. It's just I don't even like whoever's playing quarterback for them is going to have 0.2 seconds to throw the ball.
Yeah, like it's just.
I mean, Josh Allen, a quarterback, or
CMC.
Even if you have a healthy Joe Shiesty.
I think I'd rather Josh Allen.
I think I'd rather Josh
just because their running aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but like, I still think like people saying Adam Thielen. I'd much rather just like rotate your 3 tight ends. You got Kittle, Kelsey.
I mean, Kittle,
Andrews,
Kittle
Hawkinson,
Kittle is
Laporta, Hawkinson.
So many tight ends, it's crazy.
Yeah, Laporta, Hawkinson.
Tyler Conklin is
Jeremy
a
Rucker
gunner at this point.
Jeremy Rucker just a block.
Jeremy Rucker just in there to block. Like Nick Bowden should just play some fullback.
Tyler Higbee.
R.I.P. to Nick Bowden's career.
I was gonna say,
no, we don't need that.
They're bringing it back.
Dude,
they're bringing it back.
Juszczyk and Pat Ricard as your fullbacks. Like, they're the two best fullbacks in football.
What team is Ricardo?
He's the Baltimore fullback.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
Yeah.
I would just let Juszczyk, honestly. And just, here you go. Here's some carries. It's just some straight up Mike Allstott stuff. Just let that boy,
dude.
Just let that boy carry the
Pat
football.
Ricard is 302 pounds.
Is he really?
Guy's 300 pounds at fullback.
How tall is he?
Yo, let him play some defensive.
I think he's my height. I think he's 5'7".
He might have played some D tackle for us, honestly.
The guy is just a straight
I
bowling
think that's
ball.
what we're really lacking is we don't have like an interior D tackle. So it's like our linebackers, like Blake Cashman or whoever, another ex-Jet legend, who's now leading the league.
No,
in
'cause we
tackles.
got-
Milano too? Healthy Milano?
But I'm saying, like,
Milano,
the
Logan Wilson.
I'm saying like the inside linebackers are gonna have to really pick up some slack because we have like really only like defensive ends,
Right.
just playing all gaps of the line, and that might slack a little bit.
I mean, you could go 5-2-4 as your defensive sub. You have 5 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and just 4 safeties.
I mean, basically, our corners. I mean, do you put CMC at corner?
No, I'm telling you.
Both ways.
But I'm saying you need 2 or 3 corners. CMC's got to play somewhere.
So who are the D-backs? Blankenship, Ashton Davis.
Another guy, I
I
forgot.
don't even know who's a white corner
No, he's talking
or a
about
white
safety.
safety.
No, there was another white safety who Blankenship is the.
Can I look up white defensive backs in the NFL?
Yeah, that'll definitely pop up on Google. Especially like everybody's making their lineups. That's like a top Google
We're
search.
bringing Jason Sehorn out to just like coach these guys up.
There was a stat I saw. I don't know who someone made a TikTok video about it, and it was like the last starting white cornerback.
Jason Sehorn.
It was in the Giants, right?
Jason Sehorn.
Was it like 20 years ago?
Almost.
Yeah, it was like 06.
Actually more. Yeah, his last snap was in 2002.
2002. I heard there's like an Iowa guy who's like supposed to be like a stud who might be a cornerback.
I don't know.
Why doesn't he just have like
Whatever
a list?
happened to like? What about that? Is Troy Apke white? Or is he like?
I don't know who that is. To be
He was
honest with
like he was just like another one of those like track stars that's just like a random safety. He was elite.
I mean, that's
Madden.
really what it comes down to is just competing with the speed of, guys like Tyreek and, keeping up with route runners of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. It's just
The best plan is just all out blitz every time.
it really it's like we just need to make sure that that Watt and Bosa just absolutely annihilate whoever's playing quarterback.
It's like the only hope.
It's just like it really is.
You really just gotta rush like 5 or 6 every
and
time and just hope that he can't get the ball off.
I have no doubt that our offense, if we keep the time of possession, our offense is just like a little bit more surgical.
Yeah. Well, also it's just a great offense. Oh, the tight ends are just such a game changer because they're so big.
I mean,
They're gonna have
Travis Kelce is a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah,
Playing tight end.
He might even be a top like 5.
Not ever since he started dating Taylor. We have to have him break up with Taylor Swift first.
That's
'cause
true.
His game has been seriously lacking ever since he started dating my girl
Yeah.
T Swift.
He had like a run where when she was there, like he was going off.
Right, he
And
was
then when
just-
she
yeah.
wasn't, he was terrible. But now he's just all around not very good.
Yeah, he's just like, and he's
He's
just
gonna
been-
torch me in the fantasy playoffs this year.
Probably.
Though I'm playing.
Now
in
you're
another
talking shit
league.
about him. He's gonna watch the pod and be like, oh, I gotta fucking.
This is on
light it up. I
Kelsey's
gotta
watch
hold-
list. He
Yeah.
watches before every Sunday.
definitely.
He's gotta get
Yeah,
motivation.
shout out Travis and Jason Kelsey for watching Getting Technical. Okay. God.
Do we want to segue into baseball?
Yeah, is there anything else? Do we want to talk any Giants or anything, or just any other
I
like?
don't
Do we
got
want to talk
nothing to
about
say.
maybe like some Super Bowl matchups or something maybe first, and then
We
we can
could.
segue into baseball.
I think the front running. I think it's the NFC has the top 3 teams right now.
Right.
And then honestly, out of the AFC, people have been kind of saying this week, but I think the Bills have the best chance to make it to the Super Bowl.
I think the Bills are
Nah,
getting hot at the right time.
I
though.
honestly think it's the Ravens.
You think? The Ravens are just gonna choke. Like
I
it's
think
just the Ravens'
are
way.
such
Like
a funky team. It's just like they're really good, but they squeak out wins against these teams.
and
It's
they
just
have
like,
bad losses, like against the Colts, and like they lost to the Colts with like Gardner Minshew.
Gardner
like,
Minshew, baby. Oh,
I don't know.
get me him
They're
as the Jets backup next
They're
year.
so hit or miss. I definitely think they're like the second best team in the AFC.
It is tough because, like you said, like the AFC is kind of lacking. I mean, Joe Burrow going down, like the Jake Browning, make a run? Probably, that's tough to say.
No. I mean, the Jets got
Joe-
immediately out with no Rodgers.
Yeah,
Then the Dolphins are kind of fraud. They're kind of
The
fraudulent.
I don't know if they're
Dolphins
fraud.
aren't fraud, but I think just like when you start putting them up against, top defense after top defense, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for them.
I mean, they're good against teams like the Jets.
I mean,
who
the
They
Jets
is
are
it?
lost to the
top
Titans.
defense,
They got
but-
killed by the Bills this
Right,
year.
but I mean that first game against the Jets, like Tua wasn't good.
No.
and
like,
Tyreek's
this, like-
kind of hobbled right now. Missed
Yeah,
last
he
week.
Well,
hurt his ankle. He hurt his ankle against the Jets the first time.
He missed last week at a precaution.
Oh, 100%.
They
for
held him
sure.
out and they knew, and they still put up 30 against.
But even at the end of the Titans game, like they didn't even throw to him once.
right,
In that last drive.
I mean, but
he was
Jalen,
barely on the field.
but they're still able to move the ball. I mean,
They got two good running backs.
yeah, Mostert in a chain, and then Waddle's still solid.
Yeah, I mean, dude had 150 yards last week.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? So what's the path for the Bills to make it to the playoffs? Are they the wild card right now?
Yeah, no, they're definitely the wild card
Miami's
right now.
what,
Let me look.
10-4.
They play
9-4.
Miami again though. So if Miami and Miami plays,
They still have
Miami
a
plays Dallas this week. So if Miami loses to
Right.
Dallas and then the Bills beat them, they could still potentially
they could still win
could
the
still win the
division.
division.
And if they get them getting the home games is gigantic because I mean going into Buffalo in January is obviously just a huge advantage
Yeah.
when you're playing, Tua, who's
So right now, Buffalo's not even a playoff team.
really
Yeah, no, they're the 9th seed right now. Indy actually has a tiebreaker over them because they have the best win percentage for in-conference games.
really.
hmm
Wow, Buffalo's not even a playoff team right now.
No, they're actually behind Houston too. They're behind
Yeah, but now-
Cincinnati,
but with
Indy,
C-
Houston,
with
and
C-
Buffalo.
With CJ Stroud out, Houston's probably if is Stroud out again this week?
I'm not sure.
I
I'd
can't
have
see
to
Case
look at
Keenum.
news.
They really needed them to lose last week.
Who's
They
Buffalo
snuck that
playing
win
this
out.
week?
CJ Stroud ruled out Sunday for the Browns. Yeah,
Yeah,
Buffalo
so-
is playing the Chargers.
I mean,
Buffalo's
what?
playing the Chargers this week.
That's just Easton stick. Wow.
They're gonna win by
Trash.
25.
yeah. Buffalo's
Yeah.
playing
So
the
who?
Chargers.
So who are the three wild cards? It's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland is the number 1 out of the wild card. Then it's Cincinnati at the 6th spot and Indy at the 7th.
Jake Browning really just keeping that team alive.
Yeah,
Wow. I can't even.
and to be honest,
I didn't realize that Buffalo wasn't
Indy-
even. Indy isn't.
Indy is 8-6, and so is Jacksonville. Jacksonville, it says they won the tiebreaker over Indy and Houston based on head-to-head win percentage. So just because Houston and Indy lost to Jacksonville,
Because
they're all 8-6 though. Like remember when the AFC South was like clear-cut worst division in football?
Yeah,
they have
well-
3
well, now
playoff
it's the
teams
NFC
right now.
South.
Right.
Or NFC
They ended
South
up all
is-
eventually getting quarterbacks.
The
Yeah.
NFC South is just hot garbage.
Like clearly, I think Vegas and Chargers are clearly going to be eliminated after this week.
So
They're-
who are the Bills? What's their remaining schedule?
The Bills' remaining schedule.
Yeah,
What
they
about
have
Chargers?
the Chargers this
Is
week?
Denver still like kind of hanging around?
Yeah,
think
they're
so.
hanging
Yeah,
around.
they are. I
So the
think
Bills are playing the Chargers this week. Then they have the Bills and then the Dolphins. So the
Wait,
Dolphins
the Bills are
game.
playing the Chargers and then who? You said the
Chargers.
Bills.
Oh, did I? Oh, there. It's the Patriots. Patriots versus Bills, and then Bills versus Dolphins.
So if the Bills win out,
Which they probably can.
should.
They probably
should
can.
win the next two. Then they'll probably, if they beat the Dolphins, they'll probably make the playoffs.
this week, Bills?
They're playing the Chargers in LA, and then they come home. Then they come home to play the Patriots, and then they go to Miami for the last game of the season. But by that time, like Miami
that
might
might
have
be
already.
for the division.
What's Miami's
That
schedule?
could potentially
look
be
like?
for the division.
No, because Miami is probably like. Oh,
If they lose to Dallas this week, they'll have one win, and Buffalo wins. They'll be
Wow, yeah. So they got Dallas, the Ravens, and the Dolphins. So if they lose this week and the Ravens win, I don't think that there's like the game against the Ravens is just going to be strictly for the Dolphins to make the playoffs because there's no way if they lose to the Ravens, they're not getting the number 1 seed, regardless of what happens.
right if Buffalo wins.
Right. So I mean, this
Maybe-
week,
maybe
this week
East-
is the game for the Dolphins.
Maybe
This is a
Easton
big-
Stick really just like shows out.
Yeah. No, not happening.
Maybe the North Dakota State Star.
So what else?
When I heard that name, Easton Stick, I almost thought it was fake. They were just like, "Oh, this guy Easton Stick is playing." I was like, "Oh my
That's
lord!"
Obi's QB, right?
Yeah, Obi's QB. Shout out.
Chiefs have a big game against the Bengals. They play on Christmas against the Raiders, but then on New
I
Year's
mean,
Eve
even
they
the
play
Chiefs.
the Bengals.
If the Chiefs lose a few games and Denver wins, I mean, they could potentially lose the division, right?
So right now the Chiefs are 9-5. Denver is 7-7.
I thought
So
they were 8-6. Maybe never mind. I mean, they have
but
to
the Broncos
win out.
are playing the Patriots this week at home for Denver, so they're probably going to win.
That's 8. Yeah, so 8-7.
They're actually the Sunday night game on Christmas Eve.
I mean, that's that. Like the Patriots' defense is solid enough that they can really just like disrupt.
The Patriots the Broncos are probably going to win out. So if they go 10-7,
Who's there? What's their schedule? Patriots.
Patriots, they're at home for the Patriots, and they're at home for the Chargers, and then they go to the Raiders for the last game of the season.
But it's the Broncos. Like, there's a good chance that they just choke one of those games away.
I think that defense is too good to let Easton Stick and fucking Bailey Zappi beat you.
Bailey
And
Zappi ain't
Aiden,
terrible.
and Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, and like Aiden O'Connell. Like, there's no way that
Yeah.
defense lets them lose.
Russell Wilson's having a little bit of a comeback year. You know,
I tried telling
Cortland Sutton is out there playing really well.
They just need to let Javonte Williams eat.
Yeah.
There's just random weeks where he'll have 15 carries for 100 yards.
They'll just randomly they'll field McLaughlin or something.
Yeah, Samaje Perine is getting clutch and stuff.
Or Judy isn't like being utilized the right way. It's just like it's a funky offense where like Sean Payton I think is like
Sean Payton ripped into fucking Russell Wilson last week.
did he?
You didn't see that?
They lost? They lost last week or they won?
There was just like at one point they lost. Oh, they got blown out by the Lions. On,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Jared
The Lions
Goff,
are another
5
one of those
tutties.
teams. Like, they're just
Fraudulent.
they beat up on the bad teams.
Shout out fucking Jared Goff for throwing 5 tutties on my bench.
But they
GG's,
just
GG's.
It was GG's after you had fucking 25 points out of the Raiders defense. I was like sick.
That was
This kid had 50
insane.
points. You had 50 points from like from him and what was it, your tight end?
Yeah, at Evan Ingram. Yeah, my team, and like
Who are you playing
this
week.
I'm playing Donnie, and I'm projected to win by 3. Even start. Why are we gonna pick the Super Bowl?
The MLB, or I mean, I don't know.
The
Los Angeles Dodgers League,
Yeah, the Major League Dodgers.
Major League Dodgers,
Yeah.
the MLD,
Yo!
Hey, yo!
the MLD.
That's it. We're done. I'm turning this off.
The MLD.
Move over that way a little bit. You're a little too close.
No, I mean they signed Ohtani for what 10 for 700.
700 million.
And
And
they're gonna pay $20 million in the
20
next
million.
decade.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
680 is
Yeah,
deferred.
so the next 10 years they could still evil empire their way to just World Series after World Series.
But also then, I mean, 2 days ago they get Yamamoto, and apparently that deal is back end heavy a lot as well.
I mean, even if it's not, it's 27
It's
a year.
backloaded.
It doesn't even need to be. It's 27 a year. That's really nothing crazy.
That's
is
like
it
normal
only?
shit.
Oh, because
The
it's 12
years.
years.
12 years.
It's 12 years, 325. It's 27.
And they got Glass now.
They got Glass. Yeah, they have
signed
Glass now.
him.
Kershaw had
Julio
Walker
Urias.
Bueller is going to be coming back.
Yeah, Bueller's coming back.
Freaking Kershaw had a really solid year, you know, and he could they could finally like sit there and just be like, all right, like throw 120 innings and just be healthy for playoffs. Like you don't need to go out there. I mean, Gonsolin is really
Yo,
good. I mean,
they're
Dustin May. I mean,
Is Dustin May gonna be back?
Oh right, he blew his arm.
He did,
but he blew his arm. Like it happened
But
early,
even,
like July.
even if he comes back as like a bullpen guy, I mean, imagine Dustin May coming out of the bullpen in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's
got
ridiculous.
He'll come in. He'll come in.
Who's
Pitch
in the best
seven and 8.
That's the thing is their bullpen. I'm not even really sure, but I mean,
They'll make a few trades there, and
Right.
they probably somehow still have a top 5 farm system, and they're
Yeah.
just gonna trade.
But
for
I mean,
like
you
a
could
bunch.
stick some of these. Like they had some prospects come up, like Emmett Sheehan and stuff like that. They had some guys like that where it's like guys like that could just go into the bullpen for them next year, and it's just like
It's disgusting, is what
I
it
don't know.
is.
I mean, you're adding Ohtani, who's the top 5 hitter, to Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy. It's just insane. I mean, if they don't win a World Series within the next 2 or 3 years,
Who's the rookie that they had last year? James Outman.
yeah, he was really good. It's just the Braves. The Braves need to make some moves from their rotation.
Because Kyle Wright's gone. He's in Kansas City now.
Yeah, Kansas City is signing a bunch of mediocre guys, and I don't know what.
So like this
Low-key
is
not
this is
a-
a big
what-
thing. Like there's teams like the Dodgers and the Giants who are willing to throw out $1 billion, and the Mets and the Yankees obviously are willing to throw out $1 billion plus, and then teams like the Royals, A's, and
Detroit. Yeah, like,
Detroit.
Detroit has spent money in the past. They're just not right now.
They just spent it on the wrong fucking people.
Right.
Javi Baez, baby.
Javi Baez.
Yeah, I mean, so
but there needs to be a salary floor.
Yeah,
The gap between the top team and the bottom teams is just
like
Well, Ohtani's gonna his annual, if you went just 10 for 700, is more than like the A's entire salary cap or salary.
A's, 700 million. They were showing the A's haven't even in the past 10 years haven't spent 700 million on players. In 10 years,
and they've had stacked teams over the last 10. I mean, between Chris Davis, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson,
Cespedes.
I mean that those years it's just like it's just like if they would just go out and spend a little bit of money and go get a couple pitchers and like a superstar bat, to add to things. It's just like it's like people go like, oh, it's Moneyball. Them like like screw Moneyball. That Moneyball movie is such a farce. They just immediately forget to mention that they had the Cy Young of baseball and the MVP of baseball. They had 3 stud pitchers. Miguel Tejada had like 140 RBIs that year. Like that team was good.
Yeah,
it was a good team.
But still, like they had talent. But to lose Giambi that offseason was
enough with that.
And Damon they lost.
Yeah,
and
they
Damon.
lost. Yeah, and they still had Miguel Tejada, Eric Chavez, and Jermaine Dye, who combined for over like 250 RBIs.
Yeah,
like I don't want to hear it. Freaking Tim Mulder, Mark Hudson, and I'm forgetting who's Barry Zito, who won the Cy Young. It was just like it was a really good team. And I'm sick and tired. It was just like, but like all the teams that do well,
the movie like harped on David Justice.
Yeah, it was like, Scott Hatterberg was the get fucked.
Oh my god!
But it's just like look at all of the good teams of recent years. Like the teams that are consistently playoff teams that are making it deep into the playoffs. Like they're spending money on players. Even teams with like the Astros who still develop good through the system, they still bring in the Garrett Coles, the Justin Verlanders.
Greinke.
Yeah, they're signing guys, and it does.
But their main players
their
have
mainstay is, but you're still signing guys that are getting you over the hump.
Yeah,
the Kansas City Royals that year was almost an anomaly where it's it was a fully homegrown team. Like look at that Mets team that they had. That Mets team was some homegrown guys and some bought players, like getting guys like Cespedes and Daniel Murphy. Oh, Daniel Murphy was a homegrown guy.
Yeah, he was.
But guys like Cespedes that really.
Who's our shortstop? Is that Tejada?
He got hurt. Remember in the Dodgers
Ruben Tejada.
Yeah. When
you got
Chase Utley with the dirty slide.
Yeah. When he broke his leg.
Did you guys bring in? Was that the Miguel Kadire, Michael Kadire year?
No,
I think Kadire was like the year after. He was so bad. But it was like they got guys like Kelly Johnson and stuff like that. Like
you have to.
Yeah, that was like Lucas Duda was a homegrown guy.
Yeah,
but like
Fordo was a homegrown guy.
David Wright was playing third.
David Wright, yeah.
You have to develop and sign.
Yeah,
like the Yankees are like somewhat trying it, but their prospects just aren't really. They're not there yet, and they're trying too hard to get them there right now.
It's the same thing with the Mets and the Yankees, to be honest, because the Mets, like, outside of Pete, like, most of the guys on that team who have been good, they haven't had many prospects that have really panned out.
Well,
Nimmo, yes, but Amed Rosario was the number 1 prospect in baseball. He's not bad. He's just a mediocre shortstop. He's like, he's a starting player. He gets a lot of hits. So he has a few 200 hit seasons, but he just gets singles. Like he's not a game changer. Doesn't steal bases. Right. And then you got guys like Glaber, who we thought was going to be like this great player. He's not bad. But he's not like one of those elite players.
He's not turning out to be like.
He's like borderline like last All-Star pick kind of guy.
Right, but you know what? That's fine. But if you need to give me 3 or 4 more of those guys,
it's the Stanton stuff that's still holding you guys back.
I
know we bring it up every offseason, but Stanton really holds you guys back.
Stanton needs to go to the moon because he can't play the field, so he just stops. He stops the lineup. Being able to rotate the lineup. Because you just have to keep him in a DH. Yeah. Granted, he's going to miss half the season, so that's where things free up. But now you're talking about, DJ LeMahieu's old and getting hurt, Anthony
Josh
Rizzo's
Donaldson
getting hurt. Josh Donaldson's gone.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like last year, the reason why the team was
like
off.
you're bringing in 39-year-olds, hoping that they're going to be, the lifeblood of a team.
Yeah,
Well, it's the same with. It's
IKF.
exactly the same thing as the Mets last year. They brought, they signed Scherzer obviously 2 years ago, and they bring in Verlander, and it's like, the Mets would be great if their players, their starting pitchers, could stay on the field. It's like you signed 39-year-olds. Like what the fuck?
I
But
mean,
still,
they did that after they lost out on DeGrom, who had 6 starts.
yeah, but
last
he's
year.
another guy. Like he just could never pitch, and DeGrom he's
point.
not some young guy either at this
No.
point.
No,
I mean,
not at this point, but he's younger than.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's younger than Justin
But
Verlander.
that's the thing. It's like if you look at a team like the
But
Braves,
Justin Verlander's still a stud.
he wasn't the issue. He had a little injury in the beginning.
He still had
of
a
the
sub
year.
3.5 year.
Yeah,
right?
he
But-
just typical Mets fashion, Mets luck. Guy goes through his regular offseason training, has an issue with his elbow that he said he's had every single year with the Astros, and it's never held him back. Guy misses first 2 months of the season with the same issue. Kind of luck is that just showed we probably have the worst medical staff in all of baseball.
But when you look at the teams, like you guys have been saying, like the teams that do well, it's like the Dodgers have had these regular seasons, but they've choked. The Diamondbacks last year, it's like Corbin Carroll.
But that's what you gotta love.
They got Zach
like,
Gallen,
like baseball, like when you have like the 5 and 7 game series, it's just like you have to be complete, and you have to come in hot to the playoffs. You have to be complete, full roster. It's like, are the Diamondbacks, were they the best team in the NL? Not by a long shot, but they were hot. They were playing they were playing out of their minds, and they were pitching really well at that point.
yeah,
Like, I mean, if you
Even Texas, I don't think was the best team in the AL. Yet alone the fucking league, they won the
Right.
whole thing.
yeah, but they had studs on their team.
They had a stretch when they got Scherzer, and like they were losing. They were like out of the playoffs for a second.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. They got hot. They were able to make it into the playoffs, and their stars carried them.
Their second half, like Corey Seager and Marcus
Semien.
and just like
Adolis Garcia after the All-Star game.
Yeah.
right,
Picked it up.
I had him on my fantasy team. I'm forgetting what his name is, but he was like a 300 hitter, and like they were plugging.
Josh Jung.
No, Josh Jung was rookie, right? He was really good.
And they
I
had
had
Dane Dunning or whatever. He was.
Dane Dunning was
Dane
on my
Dunning.
team.
I
and
had Jonah Heim, who was he's one of the best.
Who was he?
He's one of the best hitting catchers in the league.
Yeah, no, they just had like an all-around team that just had guys. And then they made the aggressive moves at the deadline to get a guy like Scherzer. I mean, he was mediocre at best.
Right, but I mean,
the
bringing
playoffs,
in guys like Jordan Montgomery, that kind of like put you over the hump. you
Yeah,
know?
which is crazy considering like he went to the Cardinals in the offseason. Like I thought the Cardinals were going to be good. They sucked this year.
he was the whatchamacallit trade, Montgomery.
He was the.
He was the Harrison Bader trade.
Yeah.
It was like straight up for those two. It was Harrison Bader for Jordan Montgomery.
Right.
At the
Jordan
time,
Montgomery
it
was on
seemed
the
like a
Cardinals.
decent trade.
Yeah, you said he went to him in the offseason.
Oh well, yeah, but I know he was like one of like the big parts for them.
like came from them. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you have to go sign those guys that'll put you over the hump. Like even the Diamondbacks, going out and getting Tommy Pham. It doesn't seem like he didn't really do much for the Mets, but like he came and like sparked himself on Arizona. Getting guys like that, it just really it puts a little bit of lifeblood into your team.
Corbin Carroll and Tel Marte carried them.
Absolutely, but but like even having like veteran presences of like Evan Longoria and stuff like that. Guy who's been like was he on those early Rays? Like,
the 09 Rays.
He was on those like the 08 Rays that were in the playoff or the World Series. I mean, you gotta spend money, and if the Diamondbacks spend some money this year, they could be right back there. Same thing, Phillies. They go out and they got to replace Rhys Hoskins if they're he's a free agent, right?
Still is, I believe.
Yeah,
so,
but he tore his ACL in spring training.
They're gonna put. I think that Bryce Harper's
Bryce Harper's first base.
So you got to replace Bryce in the outfield. So you got to go out and you got to find a guy like him. You can't just expect all these prospects to always just pan out and flourish.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's going to be interesting is kind of like a team like the Mets who, like, they're obviously willing to spend. But last year they showed that, like, we don't have it. Like, let's just try and acquire some prospects. And I think this year's kind of gonna go similar for the Mets. They don't have the talent. They didn't really make any big moves. They just signed. They just traded for.
They were right
biggest
there on
addition is
Yamamoto.
Severino.
They were right there
They
on
signed,
Yamamoto,
but then
though.
they just
They were
traded
the
for
ones-
Adrian Hauser. Like, they're gonna be a middling team.
I mean,
I could see
if the Dodgers didn't match the Mets deal, I mean, Yamamoto was going to be a Met. They had the highest offer, and the Dodgers matched.
I think
Yeah.
the
And
he
Dodgers
like
he's
he
even
just
given like 300. I think he goes there. I think he wanted
think-
to be
you
on the
think
West
so?
Coast.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Mets upped the offer from the original one that they gave, and then Yamamoto went straight to the Dodgers. Said, "Hey, can you match this?" They said yes, and he took it.
But I just wonder if a team like the Mets at the deadline, like the season's over, clearly they've got the Braves, they've got the Phillies, the Dodgers have this next like kind of like 3-4 year window. I wonder if a guy like Edwin Diaz becomes available in a trade if he's having a good year. The Dodgers come knocking, they're like, hey, we want this guy. Like, we'll give you a bunch of top prospects.
I want James Outman.
The Mets are gonna give. I could see the Mets making a trade. Like, all right, like we don't. Our window's closed right now. Like, we're not close. Like, let's trade.
That's just crazy.
Edwin
'Cause
Diaz.
He comes in like Cohen comes in and says that he's gonna build this evil empire. We're gonna compete every single year. 3 years in, we're not gonna compete. He straight up comes out and says we're not competing this year.
I mean, it's just like the
came out-
facts. So it's like he tried to spend money. He spent the money on the wrong guys.
I
They
think-
didn't make the right moves.
I think that
and the
real-
Dodgers exist. Like
I
they
think
just
that-
people want to play in
yeah.
LA instead of Queens.
I think last year's offseason and how like the last year like result really kind of put Stevie on like a little bit more of like a cautionary spending spree. Like he'll be willing to go out and spend the money on the names like Yamamoto and stuff like that, but like I don't know how aggressive he's going to be because of he went out and was what he thought was super aggressive
And it
last year,
backfired.
and it backfired. Granted, I mean, I was saying Max Scherzer was a mistake. I didn't think Justin Verlander was a mistake. I still don't think.
Yeah,
they
but Max
should-
Scherzer happened the year prior.
But he didn't. He was like, yeah, but he was never really playing like he was always hurt for the Mets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It was just like
he wasn't really bad. He was solid the first year. He folded
that's
in
what
the
I'm saying.
playoffs.
He went like
down the
12. He went
stretch.
like 12-4 the first year.
Yeah,
did he?
Yeah, he had a solid.
but I
first
agree
year.
with
He
what
played a
Tom's,
full season.
He played most of the year.
He
Then he
played
got
most of
hurt
the
by
year.
the end of the year.
I
He was
thought
like
he was-
he sucked at the end of the year.
Yeah,
He was
he
tired.
only had like
I thought
he
he
only had
missed-
like 18 starts. Usually a full season is 24, 25.
No,
Yeah.
full season's like 32.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
half-
like
it's
that's like if you
missing half
that's
your
if you
starts.
don't get that's if you don't get hurt and you don't miss any starts. But most pitchers
Yeah.
nowadays don't make 32 starts.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, still like my fucking $40 million guy. I'd like him to make fucking 30 starts.
Yeah, well, he's 37. That ain't happening.
I think that's like the thing though. I think Cohen
is going to go out there and do that next
Yeah.
year.
I think Cohen finally realized like, oh, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought it was. Where I'm just going to buy everyone because
Right.
as much as there are those teams like the A's and stuff like that who won't spend,
Like
the
but like you
Dodgers,
said,
the Yankees, like
No-
Texas teams, like
The
they're going to
Giants.
spend as well. Like the Giants, like there's
people-
competition.
people don't want to come. They don't want to come to Queens as much as they want to go to LA or the
Exactly.
Yankees and stuff like that. You know,
Maybe even who
it's-
knows if Miami keeps getting better and they become a market.
But
that's
still, it's
desirable.
like
no taxes.
people aren't clamoring to go to the Yankees anymore either. It's not like
No.
you
No.
guys aren't bringing in Alex Rodriguez, Johnny Damon, just
No, like
just
they're-
absolute bangers of
Because people want to
free
play in
agents.
LA now
But
because it's like
that's-
same taxes and you get beautiful weather.
Right. That's also though like that's like a Cashman effect. I don't. He's got like they just need to change the lifeblood of him. They gotta get rid of him and change things up because he's just not doing it anymore. He's not doing the right things. He's not making the right signings. He does these stupid little trades at the deadline to like kind of make people think that like he's still out there like scouting and trying to like get us over the hump, and he's just
Yeah.
not. He's out there just trying to make Hal happy and put some bums in seats. And like the Yankees are always going to sell out. People are always going to go to Yankee games, and as
Yeah.
long as they stay like semi-competitive, he's happy. But it's no longer that evil empire. Let's go out and just create just an absolute monstrous lineup, and get all the best pitchers. It's just, it's really fallen off. The product has fallen off in New York.
Do you think that they re-sign Soto if he has like a good year and commands like one of those crazy contracts, like $500 million? Do you think they go for him?
I think they try. I mean, if they succeed is a whole different question. I mean, I would be pestering them all season.
Yeah,
I'd just be sitting there the whole time and be like, hey, here's a contract, here's a contract, here's a contract, all season long.
I just wonder
I'd be
who
throwing it to Scott Boras.
the big spenders on that would be because I mean, I would think right now that the Dodgers wouldn't, but who knows? They might try. They might find another way to fucking do something like that. But I'm assuming the Mets will be in it. Maybe the Dodgers. I don't know.
If these two contracts are backloaded for the Dodgers, they're not spending any money on Ohtani right now. They're spending $2 million on Ohtani right now, so they can go get and put Soto on a 10-year, $500 million deal. They could sign him to $50 million.
Just like,
if they get Soto next year, oh my god. But yeah, I mean, if the Dodgers, if Soto goes out and has an amazing year for the Yankees, maybe you don't win the World Series, but he carries you to the second round of the playoffs, something like that, and he just has a monster year with Judge. I mean, the pressure from New York will be there to sign him, but the thing is he going to price himself out of what New York is willing to pay? Because let's say the Dodgers and the Mets come in and they're like, we'll give him an Ohtani type contract if he comes off a crazy year and he gets like 10 years, $600 million. Are the Yankees going to be in that ballpark?
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, with Cashman, I don't think so.
A big thing that's going to hurt him is like he always kind of starts out slow, and like if he starts out slow, Giancarlo is starting out slow. Let's say Judge turns an ankle within like the first like month or so, and the team is looking rough. I mean, the entire fan base is going to just absolutely implode and want this guy out of town. Yep. And then
who out of town? Soto.
Yep. They're gonna want him. They're gonna want him out of town.
Traded mid-year, last like 2 months.
Him. They're gonna be like him, Boone, Cashman. Get them all out of town. Yep. Soto's not gonna want to resign here.
As Yankee fans, extremely spoiled. Extremely spoiled. As if Soto comes out the gate like he's saying slow, he's batting 220, 230 to begin the year. You're going to listen to every sports radio show and just listen to him say, this guy's a bum, get him out of here. What happened?
Mets hit with record tax. New York Mets must pay nearly $101 million in a luxury tax after a fourth-place finish in the NL East, the most expensive tax bill in MLB history. And the Mets are going to blow this year. They're going to be a 500 team.
How is their payroll still so high?
Because they still have they're still paying some of the money for Scherzer.
Scherzer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're still under. Scherzer is.
They took part of the contract for those guys when they
get the better prospects.
And Scherzer's getting paid from the Mets, the Rangers, and he's still getting paid by the Nationals.
And you're still paying Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah. When is Bobby Bonilla done? 2028?
He's got another.
Wait, my question is, how long is fucking Ohtani going to get paid for the Dodgers by? How long are they going to be paying Ohtani?
He's like 15 years after Bonilla. Like Bonilla's
after the 10 years, it's another 15.
I think it was like when Harper's contract finishes, Bobby Bonilla has another year.
Probably.
I think it was like
it's $1 million. The Bobby Bonilla is $1 million a year. It's really nothing in today's MLB.
It's just funny.
Like that. It is funny. And it adds to it. Like that's the it's $101 million. That's the $1 million.
Yeah.
It's $100 million and Bobby Bonilla.
It's $100 million and Bobby through 2035. Bobby Bonilla will be getting paid.
And that's
when did he play for the Mets?
And you know what's funny? 2035. That's a year after Ohtani's payout starts, because Ohtani has the 10 years and then the payout starts.
That's ridiculous. It's just
nice smooth transition.
The Yankees and the Mets are in very similar situations where it's just can they go spend the money? Yes. Are they going to go spend the money? Who knows? But once again, I think they both have solid foundations. Where the Mets have, a couple good, starters. They had, if they re-sign Pete, you have Pete and Lindor and Nimmo. Alvarez coming up as a young guy. Brett Beatty, whatever.
Yeah. Brett Beatty. Jeff McNeil.
Jeff McNeil can always flip flop. He had a down year, but 2 years ago was the batting title. You have solid guys. It's just, going out and getting those extra pieces to really, push you over the edge again.
Ronnie Mauricio is just like...
And you just tear his ACL?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's just I was just going to say, he's done. It's just so typical. That's the thing that irks me the most about baseball. They're like, oh, these kids need to play year round. They need to, they go down the Dominican Republic to play these meaningless games.
But you kind of have, you want guys like that to go down there and play.
No, I don't.
You want him to get at
I just want you to be in the gym, stay ready, and then spring training comes. You already have MLB experience. You already have MLB
Right,
experience.
but-
You already have AAA experience. You going to play against a bunch of 17-year-olds in the Dominican Republic and a retired plumber from down there isn't going to do anything for your development.
Those 17-year-olds are probably throwing 97.
They're probably throwing 97, but it's going to be 17 feet over his head.
Look, I'm all for playing some winter ball. I think a lot of the young kids should be playing winter ball, especially the young kids who are struggling to hit. You know, they just need to consistently see. You know, they just need to see pitching.
But he's not seeing MLB level pitching.
It doesn't. But like, where's he going to see MLB in spring training? Half of spring training, he's not going to see MLB level pitching. He's going to be facing single A pitchers anyways. You might as well go to the DR and face single A pitchers.
At least you're doing it for the team that's paying you millions of dollars. You're doing it on Cohen's dime.
I get it, but I'm
guys in a pay and play league in Punta Cana. Like, dog, give me a break.
I'm not against it. I think baseball is a year-round sport. It's the same reason the kids in Texas, Florida, and California are consistently getting recruited to the top schools over kids in New York and Connecticut and Jersey. Because, well, I can't say Jersey because Mike Trout, but you know, they get to play the game year-round. Baseball is a sport you could play year-round, so go play it year-round. You know, these guys that are out there playing all the time, like, they're the best. And it's unfortunate he got hurt, but I'm all for it. Go play in the Dominican League, face some 18-year-old kid that's going to get scouted by Houston and become the next Framber Valdez. Like, it's just what's going to happen.
The Mets are just catching just such bad luck with this offseason play. Like,
it's
you got
not
Diaz
bad luck.
last year,
It's
then you
not
got
bad
Mauricio.
luck.
It is. Who else
not
is top
bad.
prospect?
Edwin Diaz got hurt celebrating.
No.
He wasn't even
It's-
playing baseball. He
it's-
was jumping up and
it's-
down on the mound after they won.
It can't be bad luck because you never had good luck. It's just what it is as a Mets fan. It's like being a Jet fan. Being a Met fan, you were born for misery. Being a Jet fan, you were born for misery. You can't have bad luck if you don't have good luck. It's just being a Met. The Mets will be Mets.
Really
You will like you have your captain, your best player, and could have been one of the best players in Met history. Spinal fucking stenosis. Like, Jose Reyes coming out just beating his wife. Like, yo, Matt Harvey, an absolute dog of a fucking pitcher, gets like his arm just like shuts down on him. I mean, Jacob deGrom, potentially one of the greatest pitchers of our generation, tears his UCL 16 and a half times. You signed Justin Verlander, fucking 3-time Cy Young winner, gets fucking hurt for you guys. This dude who's been an iron horse.
An aspiring equestrian. Tears both ankles getting off the fucking thing.
Hunting boar or whatever the fuck he was doing. I mean, it's not bad luck because it's just the Mets.
But also, the Yankees have kind of had a streak of like.
Yeah.
The Yankees have had a streak of bad luck.
The Yankees just
bad
having
luck. It's bad luck for the Yankees because the Yankees are historically always on the good side.
But like the Yankees,
welcome to hell. Welcome to hell.
Yeah.
I love seeing Yankee fans complain.
Like, things.
Oh no, we're only 96 and
I
fucking
know.
whatever this
Like,
year. It's like the Mets, like, that's a fucking amazing season
Like,
for us.
Aaron Boone averages 95 wins a season, and
He was like, get him out.
And I'm like, this guy is I mean, he is a terrible manager. But I'm just like, it's just like people are calling for his fucking head because he's not winning a World Series. When you're World Series or bust, and for the Mets, it's like, oh my god, we made it to the playoffs. Like, let's go. Like,
It's just bad.
it's just two entirely different fan bases.
Oh my god.
Obi,
Get
pick
him
it
on.
up.
Put him on speaker. Put him on the mic.
what do you want?
Did that guy fucking hose me for a puff bar?
Welcome to the pod, boys.
Welcome to the pod.
Did that
Shut up.
Today, Junior.
That guy, of course he's screaming into the phone when he
I gave him $20 to go grab a vape for somebody. He came back, no change, two
because
vapes.
he took 2 vapes and he gave one to fucking like our table, and we were at Instant Replay on Thursday, and
you
they
know
rolled in too.
you know what the
and
funniest
Obi's
part-
fucking, he's giving us fucking a bucket of fucking drinks, like he's like.
You know what the funniest part was? For some reason, he has a $50 charge on his debit card. How do I give you $20? You still get charged $50. I get no change. That means
And no puff bar.
No puff bar. He spent $70. I don't know who has those fucking things.
Fucking A. God.
Did I get hosed by the vape guy?
Welcome to the life of just being an absolute schmuck. Okay. What else? We got anything else we want to talk about?
I don't know.
We didn't really talk about the Dodgers.
We've just been talking about misery for the
I mean,
past
all right,
hour and a half between the Jets and the Mets.
Do we want to? All right. So we want to talk any? I mean, obviously Dodgers World Series favorites. Do we want to talk like any like kind of dark horse guys or dark horse teams?
Are there any? Like, I haven't even like
The contenders in the MLB, in my opinion, are I guess you could give the Yankees got Soto, so if they can if their pitchers can stay healthy, I'll give them an outside chance. Obviously, there's always the Astros. Baltimore is really going to be a nice team this year.
It's I will say though, it's kind of tough saying all this until free agency really kind of starts rolling. Once all the guys start signing, then you can kind of really start picking. You know, it is like super early, but
The big guys are signed though.
But I mean, like in the NL, the Braves, the Phillies are always going to compete. You know, like you were saying, Miami had a really good year last year.
But can they replicate that?
Can they replicate it? A lot of young guys need to kind of continue on their path up.
There's really 4 teams in the NL in my eyes. It's the Phillies, the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Giants. Those are only 4 teams.
What about the Diamondbacks won the World Series last year?
Why the Giants?
Dude, the Diamondbacks because I think the Giants will.
They just
Okay.
They'll pay for whoever. They'll trade for whoever.
Okay, that I can agree.
I
with.
think I would say the
I think
Diamondbacks got to be in the mix. Coming off a World Series appearance, you got Corbin Burns, who's one of the best young players in baseball. Zach Gallen,
Corbin Carroll.
Oh God, Corbin Carroll.
Yeah,
God,
Corbin Burns is on Milwaukee.
Tired.
And plays a different position.
Milwaukee
Zach
could be
Gallen's
a
one of the best young
sneaky
pitchers in
teammate.
baseball. Like,
Milwaukee's. I think they're going to be on the downswing. I hope
Milwaukee's been middle of the pack for the last
Milwaukee's
5
going to trade.
years.
They're going to
I
trade Corbin Burns this year.
I hope St. Louis goes out there and makes a run at some guys because just sitting there with Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado just rotting away.
Who's left though? I mean, there was so much noise about Yamamoto and Ohtani. I didn't even realize who's still out there.
The other pitcher that's coming out from that same
Blake Snell?
No, from Yamamoto's team is a big guy. He's 28-ish.
Did he post yet?
Yeah, he's posted.
Are the Mets going to be in on that guy?
He's a little older.
Gives a shit, bro.
But I mean, there's still Snell, Montgomery, Dylan Cease, Stroman. All those guys.
Well, we know Stroman ain't going to be a Met.
Yeah, if Stroman comes to the Yankees, I'm going to go slap Brian Cashman.
The one thing I did want to talk about Yamamoto, though, is so this guy's, he's 5'10", 170, and he doesn't lift weights, apparently. Apparently, he only does, like, yoga and shit like that and, like, stretching and shit
Good.
like that.
That's all that matters.
He pumps 97 at 5'10", 170. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, which means Tommy John in about 2 years. No lifting weights. That's insane.
He doesn't lift.
That's just insane.
Doesn't lift at all, and he's 170. Pumping 98 is crazy.
Why do you think Jacob deGrom's arm snaps every 3.5 seconds? Because he's got no muscle on him. Like you gotta put some muscle on. You gotta lift something.
All right, what about Blake Snell? He's not that big of a guy.
He throws 92. He's not throwing 101. Like he's not throwing 94-mile-an-hour sliders like Jacob deGrom is.
DeGrom really is. Like,
Dustin May's a pretty big dude. He's like what 6'4".
Yeah, he's a rail.
Huh?
He's as skinny as a rail, Dustin May.
Yeah, but this is what
Walker Buehler is pretty skinny.
This is his first major injury. He throws.
I mean, the
gas.
the UCL stuff I think is just inevitable when you throw so hard. It's inevitable.
Brock Purdy doesn't throw that hard.
Brock Purdy, yeah, but I mean, guy slings it.
Oh, I was talking about this the other day. I mean, Burke, you would already know because, well, you haven't done it in 10 years, but we're sitting at the bar and Keith Morrissey asked me,
"You old fuck."
He goes, "How far do you think you could?" Like we saw on Thursday night, Derek Carr threw that bomb to Shaheed, and
how far could I throw a football right now
with pads? Isernia said he thinks he could throw it 45 yards.
No.
With pads.
No.
With pads and a helmet on.
I think it's gonna be a duck.
I'm thinking like the furthest I can get is like 30 yards with pads.
In my quote unquote prime, I think the furthest I threw was 62, and my arm is completely in shambles now
because of that.
I maybe reached 35, 40 yards in between that range.
You threw it 62? That's pretty far.
I mean, yeah, I was fucking 18, 17 years old, man. I could fucking throw the ball a little bit further. Yeah. But I certainly also thinks he was throwing like 88 last year for the Saints. So, I mean, he's a fucking retard.
That's honestly someone the Mets should go after. Fuck Yamamoto.
You're right. You could have Nicholas Isernia, star of Stan Musial
We
baseball.
called Burke a few weeks. We were like, would you rather the Yankees get Ohtani or Isernia? Because Isernia he's the Long Island Men's League version of Ohtani. He hits any pitches.
Right.
Yeah.
He's you want to talk about facing plumbers. Like, we actual guys who are like, I'm coming from my 9 to 5 plumbing job, and then I got to go play a Saints game at night, and then Nick's batting fucking 400 against these kids, and he's like thinking like something of it. I'm just like, this kid blows my mind every time.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad the Flids is done.
I don't think it's done. We're gonna be Flitston replay this summer.
I'm not. I'm Cucumbas, baby.
I'm not playing.
You're not coming back?
I am not coming back. I am Cucumbas.
Wow.
I'm done.
Flitston replay. I mean, Flitston replay is electric, but the Flids are dead.
It's done.
Donnie said he's coming back.
Donnie's a liar. Donnie's going to the
Maybe you guys play on. We never played in the same night of the week.
Yeah, I'm not playing 2 nights of
You
softball.
are. You're a softball junkie, Bert.
I'm not playing 2 nights of softball.